Hey everybody, this is Coach Reynolds, and this is This Day in Texas History with Coach Reynolds. First of all, let me tell you, I've only been teaching Texas history for like 5 years. I love Texas history. I'm just repeating facts to you. I'm going to try to add a little comedy to it, and we're going to make it work. So let's do this. Okay, so let's get a little background information. In 1835, October exactly, Texas began fighting for their freedom from Mexico. Okay, so between October and December, they were gangbusters, man. They were just knocking everybody out, winning every battle, just about. Now, in December, in the wintertime, usually troops take off and, nobody ever fought. Santa Anna blew that out of the water when he marched from Mexico City to San Antonio in the dead of winter. Now, he got to the Alamo in February, attacked the Alamo. We all know what happened at the Alamo. On March 1st, the Convention of 1836 was formed. Delegates from all over Texas came to discuss freeing themselves from Mexican rule. Okay, so on March 2nd, they actually signed the Texas Declaration of Independence. After that, they made up a constitution, signed that thing, and then they elected what's called an ad interim government, which, for those of you that don't know, that's a temporary government. Now, temporary meaning eventually they knew they didn't want these dudes in power. No, just kidding. So, on March 11th, in Gonzales, Sam Houston, who had been elected as the commander-in-chief of the Army, now please understand he was not the president. The ad interim president was David G. Burnett. But Sam Houston is at Gonzales trying to gather up troops. He's trying to get everything together, trying to actually build an army to fight this army that's headed their way. And so he meets with survivors from the Alamo who had made their way to Gonzales. Some of those survivors, you might know Susanna Dickinson. She was there. And then William B. Travis's slave, whose name was Joe, was also with them. But they informed Sam Houston of the carnage at the Alamo and that that Santa Anna was headed their direction. Now, Sam Houston begins to formulate an idea. Now, he was a very experienced general. And so his idea was, let's retreat. Let's back up. Let's gather ourselves up. Let's figure things out. I don't know if he had that in his mind. Eventually, that's what if you stick around long enough, or if we're coronavirus long enough, we'll probably talk about this a little bit more in detail. But he starts what's called the Runaway Scrape, which actually had started way before this. In the southern cities of Texas, people began to leave their homes and escape from Santa Anna's advancing army. So from Gonzales, Sam Houston leaves and makes his way back east. Now, under the scrutiny of this new government that had been formed, and for everything I've ever researched, under the scrutiny of the president, David G. Burnett, who multiple times called Sam Houston a coward. Was the dude a coward? I don't know. Doesn't seem like it. We have hindsight. If I'm in that situation, maybe I'm calling him a coward too. I don't know. But, so, Sam Houston begins to retreat. This is March 11th. Fast forward to what would be today, March 17th, 1836. And the ad interim government, which has been placed at a place called Washington on the Brazos, realizes that Santa Anna, not Sam Houston, I get them confused a little bit. They're two leaders and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, that Santa Anna is headed their direction. So, like all these other people in Texas, they pack up and leave. Okay, and when we're talking about like the runaway scrape ass people packing up and leaving, it's like they packed like a little go bag, what we would call a go bag today, and they're getting out of there. They didn't, not everything got thrown in their wagon. They were just taking off. I've read where they talked about throwing furniture in some of the rivers, like just crazy stuff. Anyway, so Sam Houston's already leading his army into East Texas, into more Southeast Texas, the Houston area, for us, not for them. Wasn't around yet. But this government who had been saying, "Oh, you're a coward, Sam Houston. You're a coward. You're a coward," is now turning tail and running. Now they're making their way to a place called Harrisburg, and on their way they stop at a place called Gross's Plantation, which for 3 days gets to be the Texas capital of the Republic of Texas, which is kind of cool. Um, like I said, if this coronavirus lasts much longer, we may get to talk a little bit about Gross's Plantation, because that is essentially what we call the Texas Valley Forge. You know, Valley Forge with George Washington and the American Army. That's where the American Army really became an American Army, or an actual army, not just an American Army. Um, but Gross's Plantation is actually where Sam Houston brought his troops, and that was the Valley Forge of Texas. That's where Sam Houston actually got to train his troops and all this kind of stuff, and they became an actual army, eventually being able to defeat the Mexicans at San Jacinto. Anyway, more importantly, what happened today in Texas history? The ad interim government of Texas turned tail and ran to Harrisburg after they had been calling Sam Houston a coward for a few days. And so that's this day in Texas history with Coach Reynolds for today. Tomorrow, tune in. A really interesting subject, an actual local subject if you're from Henderson area, the New London school explosion. I'll try to gather up as much information as I can. I've actually got a pretty big little notebook of information that even my great-grandmother gathered. So we may even take a look at some of that stuff. But hopefully you're enjoying your time with your family and getting to spend some extra time that we didn't know we were going to get. So y'all have fun and don't get sick. See ya.